Graduates of New York University this week got international Grammy-winning superstar Taylor Swift to speak at their graduation, and you get some random dad. So let's get to it. Now that you are almost high school graduates, obviously you do not need advice any longer from other adults, so I'll just tell a story. 4 years after the end of World War II, in the state of Montana in the US, lightning struck in the mountains. The August day was 36 degrees Celsius, the forest was dry, and the wind fanned a spark into a wildfire. Wagner Dodge was crew chief at the smoke jumper base about an hour's flight away. Smoke jumpers are firefighters who parachute into remote areas. Stopping this fire would require an estimated 50 people, but only one plane was available, and it didn't hold that many, so Dodge took off with only 14 smoke jumpers. This being 1949 America, they were all male, all white, most Christian, one was Jewish. At 33, Dodge was the oldest. Most were in their early 20s. One turned 19 that day. The youngest was only 17. This group of 15 men landed in Man Gulch. A gulch is a steep V-shaped valley, sometimes with a body of water at the bottom, in this case, the Missouri River. They rendezvoused with a college student named James Harrison. He had been a smoke jumper, but he quit the year before because it was too dangerous. Now he was working for the summer as a fire guard, whose responsibility was not to fight fires, but simply to watch for them. However, he did fight this fire alone for 4 hours until the others arrived. The northern slope of the gulch had small trees and dense waist-high grass. The fire was raging on the southern slope, which was more of a forest with tall trees. Fire tends to travel up. So the crew's plan was to hike down the northern slope, cross the river at a low point, and then push up the southern slope to subdue the fire. The men were going to keep their backs to the river and head back there to safety if needed. But before they could do that, the fire crowned, which means it hopped from treetop to treetop over the river. And it was now spreading on the northern slope, the slope where Dodge and his men were. Remember, fire travels up. So Dodge ordered the crew to go up too. But it was steep and hot, and the men's tool packs were heavy. Dodge told them to drop their gear. The wall of fire was 9 meters high and moving faster than a human can run. When the flames were only 90 meters behind them, Dodge stopped running. He had been hit with an idea to do something he'd never heard of before. With no time to think it through, Dodge lit a match, held it to the waist-high grass around him, and started another fire. The force of the big fire caused Dodge's small fire to burn rapidly. In seconds, the grass near him, the fuel, was ash. Dodge called for his crew to join him in the barren zone that he'd created. Some of them didn't hear him. Most of them thought he was crazy. All of them kept running up the slope. Dodge put a wet towel over his nose and mouth and lied face down on the ground. The wildfire swept around Dodge. He felt the heat, of course, heard the roar, and the intensity almost lifted him off the ground. But he was not hurt. For most of his crew, the outcome was tragically different. 13 died, including Harrison, the smoke jumper who had quit the year before. Only 3 survived, Dodge and two others who had managed to find a protective spot in the rock crevices. In only 10 minutes, the inferno had burned 3,000 acres, 12 million square meters. If there had been houses on that amount of land, it would have burned 54,000 of them. 10 minutes. Dodge's desperate action would later be named an escape fire, and it is now part of standard firefighter training. Every change in history, no matter how big, has started the same way. Every change starts with one person. I presume most of you are not smoke jumpers, and never will be. Why is this heartbreaking story relevant to you? Well, because you, too, one day, will start a fire. Not to save a life, hopefully. You'll never be in that kind of a situation. Probably to test an idea. But even figurative fires can be scary, can cause others to lose faith in you, even to dislike you. Start them anyway. So many new ideas, most new ideas, seem crazy at first, sometimes even to the people who come up with them. Who has seen that video of a man at an outdoor concert dancing wildly by himself, as if no one's watching? Has anyone seen this? It's quite famous. So again, it's a man alone in an outdoor concert dancing crazily by himself. Others are staring at him like he's a Jeansbugler or a Warmduscher. You don't know those words? Those are my favorite German words. I was waiting all day to say Jeansbugler. Okay, so, but even though he's being stared at and possibly mocked, he keeps dancing. That alone is magic, someone who does not care what others think of him. Then, a second person comes over and begins to dance wildly as well, which doesn't just double, but quadruples the magic. By joining the first person, whom some clearly think is verrückt? Yeah, okay. The second person is arguably taking an even bigger risk, but he's also validating the first dancer. He's transforming that spastic loner into a leader. He's showing observers that it's okay to do this. 30 seconds later, a third person joins them. And soon it's a big crowd, pure joy, dancing without inhibition. We all know that going first takes courage, but going second takes courage too. Sometimes more courage. If you don't see yourself as someone who would start a fire or join a dance, I can make it seem less intimidating to you in only 3 words. Nobody knows anything. That is a mantra from a book called Adventures in the Screen Trade by a screenwriter named William Goldman. So his point, no one knows more than anyone else what will be a success. History is overflowing with theories, designs, books, movies, songs, pizza toppings that at first were rejected, even laughed at, but then became triumphs. Persistence, talent, experience, charm, all valuable, but random chance can override them all. As you heard from Henry, if you try and fail, you'll learn something and learn how to carry on. But if you never try, you will never know. And take it from a dad, that is something that will haunt you for the rest of your life. So maximize your fires these next few years before you have kids, before you have a mortgage, before you realize that you are mortal. Between Dodge, the dancing dude, and the screenwriter, this has been a male-dominant talk so far. And while I don't have time to incorporate every gender, here is one of my all-time favorite stories, moments of female empowerment. So when my graduating senior, Laura, was 6, I told her a bit about my job as a writer. I explained that it can be hard to track down certain people that you would like to interview, even with the internet, but that when she was older, it would get easier. Now, of course, I meant that more information would be online, but Laura said, why easier? Because I'm a woman? So I thought that was astute. Frankly, in many ways, life does not get easier. All the more reason why you should start fires even when you feel that others do not believe in you. Dance with weirdos even if no one else will. Nobody knows anything. Every change in history starts with one person, and you are all one person. Congratulations to the class of 2022.
Thank you very, very much, Marc, for those inspiring words. So now we've come to the moment that you've probably all been waiting